2024 was a bit of a mixed bag. That's about the nicest way that I could put it for Square Enix. Now, on the one hand, on the good hand, we'll start with the good to begin with. Them releasing the best game that they have put out in the better part of 2-3 decades in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and then also kicking off this year with its PC port. I legitimately cannot wait for that. Scrapping a bunch of crappy projects that were doing more to harm the once great brand and rededicating themselves to the franchise that made them a desirable company to begin with. Scrap the exclusivity deals to allow their games to be played by the widest audience possible. And then also cutting ties with the likes of Sweet Baby Inc. On the side. There was a lot to like I said at the beginning. But then also them setting lofty expectations for how well you can sell exclusive games, announcing that 16 and Rebirth, Final Fantasy we're talking here obviously, didn't meet sales expectations, but also didn't release sales figures or anything like that. But then you had the people working on Rebirth say that, sales were fine. They just obviously got stifled. Then you have third-party data that shows that Rebirth was the best-selling exclusive game of 2024. So who knows what you can believe on that one. Then also getting in on the whole Type A, Type B body type when it comes to the Dragon Quest remakes. They definitely had some hang-ups, and while I'm a big proponent of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and its teams, I have always been somebody who has been very skeptical of Square Enix, okay? Growing up, my childhood was all brought to you by Squaresoft. Okay, I don't want to play the nostalgia card or anything like that, but I mean, you take a look at the repertoire of games that Squaresoft was putting out, and if it wasn't for them making some, questionable decisions in the early 2000s, they wouldn't have had to merge with Enix, and then you just kind of had to hold your nose as everything that they put out was of a dubious quality moving forward. But by kicking off the year in 2025 with some iffy policy decisions, I mean, why can't you just take the W? Why can't you just assess the world that's around you and realizing that doubling down on feelings ain't really it? Now, I seen this story when it was popping off ahead of the weekend, and recently I've been on the mend. I'm still not like 100%. I'm a little bit better than 50, so I haven't really been paying that much attention to everything going on in the grand scope, so I'm not entirely familiar going into this video. Obviously, we're going to know a little bit more of it, but new Square Enix harassment policy could lead to legal action against gamers. Company will go after fans for denial of personality. Now, I've seen headlines like this and so many others, and people extrapolating what this could mean, but even from that headline, I see a hell of a lot of weasel words. Could, the company will go after, and whatever denial of personality is. This really strikes me like the whole ethics department and how, Tifa's chest got binded and they're trying to push ugly characters. There's a lot of conflagration going on here, dragging in outside parties in order to try to paint a narrative. I don't like Square Enix, okay? I like people that work there. I like some of their designers, directors, producers. Some of them are incredibly skilled people, but the company themselves, they have fumbled more bags than a dancer at the Spearmint Rhino. So I digress. Let's get into this. Square Enix created a ton of controversy with its new group customer harassment policy, with many seeing it as a threat to both the gaming community and an industry as a whole. The group customer harassment policy is a new measure taken by Square to combat what it deems unacceptable behavior. The developer claims the policy will help with product improvement and quality. Okay. This also has tinges of, what, you don't support the Patriot Act? It has the Patriot in the name. What does that mean? You hate America? Okay. Square Enix believes that the feedback, comments, and requests received from our customers are essential to the advancement of our group's products and services. Therefore, we are committed to strive to apply your voice in improving our products and services. Okay, the Japanese developer said on the policy's official page on the Square website. At the same time, there are instances where certain customers take actions directly or through our support centers or towards our group executives, employees, partners, who are involved in the creation and distribution of our group products and services that constitute customer harassment, such as denial of personality, violence, defamation, intimidation, advance notice of wrongdoing, advance notice of obstruction of business, harassment. Such actions do not prevent our employees and partners from from engaging in their work with a sense of security, but also cause disruption to other customers. Square Enix will not tolerate harassment and will take action as necessary. Now listen, okay, any company has a right not to do business with anybody they deem unworthy. Unless, of course, you're trying to just simply go about your life, bake cakes, and then there's an activist couple that comes into your bakery. And you have to go through a long, drawn-out legal battle. It's like, okay, cool, you don't want to do business with somebody? That is totally within your purview. It's very unnecessary to come out with this statement where, oh, we won't support anybody attacking our employees, where it's like, yeah, okay, cool, I understand. You know, you back up the people that you have. It's just, why does this need another policy over the top of it? What is this going to end up curtailing? And because this is so vaguely defined, how are we going to use it as a shield moving forward? Because we know that it's never going to stop with just some strongly worded messaging. Okay, the policy acknowledges that feedback, comments, and requests are vital for improving products and services. However, it uses questionable terms such as denial of personality, which I think we kind of know in today's day and age, okay, if a certain representative of the company previously identified as something else and then all of a sudden starts wearing dresses and makeup the next, and people want to laugh at that. Is that denial of personality? Is that what we need a brand new policy to address? And excessive pursuit or reprimand. Yeah, that's just harassment in very flowery terms, okay? Yeah, while protecting employees from legitimate threats like violence and stalking is essential, these subjective categories open the door to potential abuse. Exactly. Should Square Enix determine that an individual has engaged in an action against one of our employees or partners that exceeds socially acceptable behavior or is harmful, we reserve our right to cease providing support services or to refrain from providing providing our group's products and services. Yeah, okay, cool. In good faith, you assess that as being, okay, cool. If you're going to be miserable to our people, we don't have to do business with you. If we are to accept that in earnest, that's what that reads. But we kind of know how all of these policies end up getting applied, right? Square goes on to say, with such actions as egregious or with malicious intent, Square Enix reserves its right to protect our employees and partners and take legal action or criminal proceedings upon consulting the police and or lawyers. Well, yeah, okay, all of that is fine and dandy. Why does this need an additional policy? Okay, harassment and protection very much on the books. Everybody understands that. Nobody ever condones any of those threats or bad actors that are out there. It's just it never really comes with any receipts. So you're always just asking, okay, cool, yeah, all of that stuff's bad, but did it ever really happen? And honestly, this kind of sounds like an internal policy shift. Why do you have to make it public? Why do you have to virtue signal like this? It doesn't help anybody. This just ends up making you guys look insecure. Square Enix has made it clear that it will cease providing support services to offenders and reserves the right to pursue legal or criminal proceedings. Well, yeah, of course, and because they don't act like it, but they purport to be a respectable company, so you would imagine things would get ratcheted up appropriately in response to the action taken against them, but cease providing support services. That is also something else that is very nebulously defined. Is that no longer providing review copies to somebody that is quote-unquote harassing somebody at Square Enix, or is that somebody not allowed to get updates for the game that they purchased because of some social media posts? We don't know how this will be enforced. We don't know how this is going to play out. It could be much ado about nothing, but the fact that they put it in writing kind of lets you know that there's at least an inkling that is out there. So what this means for critics, okay, by creating this new policy, Square Enix can now declare anything as harassment, and I think you're being a little bit disingenuous, including legitimate criticism of a product. In doing so, Square can, in theory, press charges against critics under the claim of harassment. Come on, man. Come on. I know we all like to complain that these big companies, and especially Square Enix, and how they have handled, and it's very funny how they've been showing so far. It's like Squaresoft put out Final Fantasy IX, okay? They did 16, which was like largely perceived as finally a course correction, okay? A game that comes out and it's appropriate. And Kingdom Hearts 3 is a pile of fucking steaming shit. And Rebirth is, like I said, it's one of my favorite games ever. But if you're going to go ahead and extrapolate like that, Square Enix's new measure reflects a growing trend among corporations adopting DEI. Oh my god, my ethics department and all this shit. Okay, yeah, it can be used like this. I'm not going to take that off the table. I'm just saying that there's a bunch of people out there, and I've said this time and time again, there's some critics that are out there. There are some talking heads that just want to cry woke whenever they see anything. What about this at all? okay? Unless you're doing some 4D chess, underwater backgammon type interpretation, denial of personality, if you really want to focus in on that, what about any of this stuff has DEI in it? There is nothing here at all whatsoever. I don't like the policy. I'm not supporting it. Don't get it twisted. I'm saying if you want to point your gaze in a direction, not like that, but just the other one, like the actual staring, not the activist side of things, towards a company that is doing some deleterious shit. Take a look at Epic Games' new terms of service non-compliance results and account termination. In a significant update to its policy, Epic Games has introduced new terms of service that has raised concerns among its user base, particularly in the United States. According to revised terms, users who fail to accept new conditions will face an immediate loss of access to the Epic Games account. Furthermore, any violation of these terms could lead to a permanent account termination without prior notice. That seems a lot more immediate, a lot more needing to be addressed, because it's there in black and white that, yeah, if you don't adhere to their terms of service, you're going to get your shit yeeted at a moment's notice. And so, yeah, feel free to spurg out about this stuff, what this means for gaming. Many suggest that Square's new policy is a violation of freedom of speech. How? As it limits feedback and open dialogue. Potentially. You can claim it's pattern recognition. You can claim that, oh, we've seen this before and we know exactly how these policies always get instituted. But we've also seen people say that, oh, Square's ethics department is going to make it so Tifa looks like a golem. When it comes to corporate, there's no love lost here, okay? I like the people who are working on these projects, okay? Specifically Yoshinori Kitase, the guy who's been at the helm of just about every Final Fantasy game, at the helm for every Squaresoft game that was worth a damn. And the original Final Fantasy VII director says he'd love to see classic RPG given the Hollywood treatment like a cinematic or some kind of visual piece. Now, to be honest, in today's day and age, I don't want to see anything that I like adapted by Hollywood. Okay, you can watch the cutscenes of Remake and Rebirth and you have yourself an excellent story right there. But in listening to what the guy says, it's a little bit different than the headlines, which is why we're going to be doing this, okay? While many fans may be wary towards the idea, given the current state of the city's filmmaking industry, the original Final Fantasy VII director Yoshinori Kitase says he'd love to see the classic game given some sort of Hollywood screen treatment. And currently serving as overall brand manager, Kitase has enjoyed a long career with Square Enix, and Square, before its merger, obviously, having not only directed Final Fantasy VII, but also 5, 6, Chrono Trigger, 8, and 10, as well as serving as producer for the Final Fantasy 13 trilogy. I won't hold that against him. And the first 3 Kingdom Hearts games, 1, Chain of Memories, and 2. Oh, so the good ones. Like, for being card-based, Chain of Memories isn't that bad. Birth by Sleep is a slog to play, and the rest of them are just all fucking flumpy. To this end, the story Japanese developer offered his thoughts about a potential Hollywood take on Cloud and crew fight to save the planet. During a recent interview, the noted video game-centric content creator Danny Pena. Alright. At one point during his time together, Pena shared his wish to see a future, maybe a movie or a series similar to what you guys released ago about Final Fantasy VII, a reference to 2007's Advent Children. Yeah, but could you have, like, good dialogue instead of just a couple of decent action scenes? Because if you're going to be doing a filmic adaptation, you have anything like dilly dally shilly shally, just put a buster sword between my eyes. And ask Kitase if there's anything like that he would like to see in the future. In turn, Kitase, speaking through a translator, asserted, "We don't have anything officially planned, thank God. And so this is just strictly my personal sort of wish. But yeah, I've heard about various Hollywood directors and actors playing Final Fantasy VII, and many creators also respect the title." Yeah, Robert Pattinson, whenever he gets the opportunity to talk about things that he likes and appreciates, always brings up Final Fantasy VII. It's one of those quintessential games, man. It's not my favorite Final Fantasy. Oh, hell no. It's definitely in my top 3, top 5. I'd really have to go back and renumber them. Yeah, man, you know how this reads? Instead of just, oh, he wants to see the Hollywood treatment, he's appreciative of people liking the work that he did back in the cut and hoping that they're looking forward to what he's doing in the future. So yeah, if people are excited about expounding and adding to the legacy of Final Fantasy VII, that's fantastic. But apparently, folks over at Square Enix only want your input if you're going to be lapping their asses. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your cut and get after it.